It's not often you get to go back and revisit some of your favorite memories. Well, the good people over at Chessable have me working on a new project that's making me throw back to 2018 when my first course on Chessable, Master the French Defense, came out. Well, this new project is going to be focused on a beginner repertoire. It's a 1e6 versus everything. And Christoph Selecki recently had a fantastic beginner course come out, and it had the first 10 moves or so covered, and it's done well. I looked at it and said, it's fantastic. I think I'd like to have some of that too for my course. And I'm going to do things a little bit differently though. I'm going to give you those 10 or so trainable moves, and then in the following informational, I'm going to give you a annotated game showing from a master's perspective, breaking down the position. And where better to start in the French defense than the exchange? The exchange variation is easily the most popular line with beginners. Tension, theory, no, we're just going to take the pawn. You attack my pawn, I can take, therefore I take. So my students that are under 1200 rated on chess.com, this is by far the move that they see the most. So I think it's a great place to start in understanding the theory. And after knight f3, I'm recommending this move, bishop f5. And this is the Georg Meyer special. So many times in the database, bishop g4 has been played, and I like a little bit of surprise value. I like a little bit of forward-thinking technique. We're attacking some squares in the center, doing good things. And bishop d3. Well, this is already one of the top choices in the database, and we get what we want. The focus in the French is very often, can I trade off the French bishop, the c8 bishop, for its counterpart? In this case, we're being gifted right out of the gate the ability to trade off the bishop. And after queen takes, well, this is helping us choose how to define our structure because white's threatening queen b5 check, c6, let's stop that. And after castles, now it's a question of optimal development. Very often, players struggle with winning these solid positions because they do not understand how to create imbalances and make slight changes in the position to be able to outplay the opponent. So we're going to follow the line exactly as it is in the trainable variation here and show you how you can play it. As a note, if you're thinking knight f6 and bishop e7, this isn't going to be an aggressive situation for black. It's just going to be solid. Let's get more out of the position. Bishop d6. Now the inevitable rook e1, knight e7. This is our ideal setup. More flexibility. Let's see further why. Bishop g5. We've got f6. A strong multi-purpose move that picks up a tempo and is going to be taking away these critical squares of e5 and g5 from white. Now, let's tuck the nugget away. And on c4, white's showing the intent to capture in the center. Well, I'm going to let you. Knight d7. How would you like to affect the pawn structure here? And my anonymous opponent, rated roughly 2300, captures on d5. And this gives us a point of attack and clarification in the position. What should we take with? We should definitely take with the knight and play against the isolated pawn. Now, ideally, what we're looking for when playing in an isolated pawn position is I'm going to trade off my three minor pieces for their counterparts, and I'm going to load up all the heavies on the d-file. White will need to do the same to defend, and I'm going to play c5. And throughout the rest of this game, you're going to see this plan in motion. White, on the other hand, when you're playing with the isolated pawn, needs to conjure an attack against my king. since he's already traded off his attacking bishop, and f6 is such a great defensive move to keep all the pieces away from my king, we really don't have any problems here. We're going to get what we want. Knight c3. Okay. So trade. So should I take? No. That would help white with the pawn structure. Change it. You want to trade? You trade on my terms. And on rook e4, let's make sure that we're controlling key squares and getting ready to challenge on the open e-file. Let's invite everybody to the party. Clip, clip. And now again, no hurry. Want you to trade on my terms. My opponent could not resist forcing this trade. And little by little, I'm getting what I want. And now that the queens are off the board, it's an endgame. The king should be active. Please go away, rook. Let's go ahead and test the waters a little bit here. And definitely knight takes c3 could be played, but I was in that tension-based mindset still. If knight takes c3, it's a little bit difficult to see after b5 takes. We've got the outside pass pawn, which will eventually win the game. Now, because it's equal material and whatnot, it's not trivial to try to estimate these types of things in a practical game. But knight a3, I'm continuing with the classical plan of playing against the isolated pawn. My opponent takes, goes rook d1. Like I said, heavies pile up, and that's when we're able to play c5 finally. So the plan manifests itself, and after king f1, full coordination and harmony. And I made it more difficult on myself than it needed to be. Rook takes d4 would have been much easier, but we wouldn't get the technique with taking with the pawn because, say, for instance, both kings reach here and white runs out of tempi far before black does. And once you finally have to move, brutal. In the main game, I played c takes d4. Bring the king in. Go away. Takes. I understood that the give back would allow for the opposition with the same theme that we saw. If I would have just simply traded the rook earlier, a5, no more tempi to waste over there, fixing a weakness. And on f4, my opponent had enough on king c4, as I'm able to just move over, take the pawn, and then come back to do a fox in the chicken coop style collection a la International Master Silvan. So that'll do it for this video. Hopefully, you learned a little something about playing against the exchange French. Always look for the imbalances. Check out those French courses on Chessable. Promise you won't regret it.